Tonight, turbulence at the Scottish Tories as another MSP quits. Jeremy Balfour resigns, accusing the party of falling into reactionary politics. The Tories say they're disappointed. Also on the programme, we're being told to watch our water consumption amid a long spell of dry weather.
Coming up in the sport, Celtic suffer a big injury blow and Scotland prepared to begin their campaign in the Women's Rugby World Cup.
There can be only one.
Well, apparently there can be one more, as Karen Gillan confirms she's starring in a reboot of 80s movie classic Highlander. I'm Laura Goodwin and this is Reporting Scotland. Scottish Conservative MSP Jeremy Balfour says he is quitting the party because he feels it's fallen into the trap of reactionary politics under Russell Finlay's leadership. He will now sit as an independent, leaving the Scottish Conservatives with 29 MSPs. He is the second MSP to leave the party since Mr Finlay became leader, piling pressure on the Tories ahead of next year's election. Our political correspondent Phil Sim reports.
Jeremy Balfour in happier times, campaigning for the Scottish Tories. He's been a loyal member for almost 40 years, at one time leading their opposition to Edinburgh's trams on the City Council, and frequently representing them in TV debates. He's twice been returned as an MSP, but he won't be wearing a blue rosette next May, announcing this morning that he's quit the party.
But over the last months I've seen a lack of policy development heading up to next year's election. I think the Scottish Conservatives have lost its ideological understanding of what it means to be conservative, the principles that make us conservative, and I think it's time for the next few months at least to have that independent voice to be able to speak up for the people of Lothian and for disabled people.
The Tories say they're disappointed but wish Mr Balfour well. Russell Finlay has been leader for less than a year but has already seen 2 MSPs leave. His allies insist he is still the man to lead them into next year's election campaign.
I think he will offer that freshness, which we aren't seeing from John Swinney. I think John Swinney is certainly yesterday's man. I think Russell, when people really have a chance to hear from him at that election, will see someone they'll want to give their support to. And certainly the MSP group, as we head into that election, will give him their support, as our members have just last November.
Mr Balfour is a popular figure and there's plenty of sympathy for him among senior MSPs. Liz Smith says the party must reflect on the reasons for the departure of a wonderful colleague. And with the Tories being squeezed by Reform UK, most accept that an anti-politics feeling persists.
So it takes a long time after a big defeat for the electorate to engage with us again. The problem we have is that I think the Labour government has lost public support very quickly. The SNP government's been in power for far too long, and the public is kind of scunnered with us all. And they're not listening to messages at the present time.
Jamie Green, MSP.
A few months ago, Jamie Green left the Tories for the Lib Dems. But Mr Balfour says he won't be joining any other party. Instead, he'll be seeing out the Holyrood term as an independent MSP, before an election which will pose big questions for his former party.
And Phil joins us now. Phil, how big of a challenge is this to Russell Finlay personally?
Well, Jeremy Balfour's not one to engage in personal attacks, but he is clearly not happy with the way the Tories are being run. And look, if he thought that Russell Finlay was the man to turn things around, then he would still be in his party. For Russell Finlay, losing 2 MSPs in a couple of months is clearly not a vote of confidence. He has been building this platform around the idea of common sense policies. But the Tories are kind of caught in this position of the more moderate base that they built under the leadership of Ruth Davidson, and the temptation to shift to the right, to combat Reform UK on their own more populist turf. And it's hard to win the argument with the electorate if you can't win it with members of your own party.
And what does that tell us about next year's election campaign?
Well, it underlines in a way the sort of fragmented nature of our politics, the disaffection that is still out there. I think other parties are kind of piled in today to give the Tories a kicking, but they all face this puzzle of pitching their policies to an electorate that frankly doesn't really like politicians right now. The Tories have previously done well by defining themselves in terms of what they are against, their opposition to an independence referendum. And it may be that next year's election ends up having a constitutional theme. Certainly John Swinney has talked about wanting an SNP majority to deliver an independence referendum. But you have to tell voters what it is you're for. You have to have a vision, what you're going to deliver. And that is the work that every party is doing right now to build that up ahead of next year's election that they can set out to voters.
OK, Phil Sim, many thanks. August has been drier than on average, and that means reservoir levels across the country have dropped below normal levels. We're being asked to cut down on the amount of water we're using, and tankers are being used in some areas to supplement supply. Ben Phillip reports.
Water levels in many of Scotland's rivers are low. After the driest spring in 70 years, lower than average rainfall has continued into the summer and is starting to have an impact, particularly in the east of the country.
The River Don here in Aberdeenshire has been at the second highest level of water scarcity for several months now. SEPA now says that this river, along with the Devon, Eithin, Lower Tweed and the area around North Fife, could move to the highest level of significant scarcity as early as next week.
If you haven't got the water, your cattle will let you know or you'll be in trouble.
Many businesses, including farms, distilleries and golf courses, use water from rivers to operate. Measures could be imposed in at-risk areas to restrict usage. SEPA says it has been in contact with those likely to be affected.
It's been drier, I would say, than any time I can remember in my 43 years of farming on this farm. I've had to invest so far in a solar-powered pump to pump out of a ditch to try and keep my cattle in water, because otherwise I would dry people's domestic supplies. And even the ditch that is in at the moment is threatening to not be able to feed it, and I may well have to move it.
Scottish Water says many reservoirs are below normal levels, like this one near Kirriemuir. In the east of Scotland, average reservoir levels are at 57%, compared to the usual 81% for this time of year.
We're asking customers proactively to consider their water use so that we can safeguard supplies, not for the immediate term, but for the long term, should we have a further dry autumn and dry winter.
Efficient water use includes using a sponge and bucket to wash your car and taking shorter showers.
Well, you take your showers just, in and out sort of thing. We try our best to do everything we can.
Well, we'd only use the dishwasher once every 2 days. There's only two of us. Have a shower very quickly.
Yeah, I'm a long time in the shower, so yeah.
Something to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
Meanwhile, the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service has issued a fresh warning over the risk of wildfires until next week. Some rain to minimise that risk and replenish water levels can't come soon enough. Ben Phillip, reporting Scotland, Afford.
One of the co-founders of beer giant BrewDog has announced he's leaving the company for personal reasons. Martin Dickie founded the firm in Aberdeenshire alongside James Watt in 2007. And since then, it has grown to become a global brand. Well, our business correspondent, David Henderson, is with us now. Remind us how this all began.
Well, it all began in a tiny industrial unit in Fraserburgh. Those two school friends, Martin Dickie and James Watt, set up this firm called BrewDog, selling beer from a van at local markets. In time, they created their most famous product, Punk IPA. They won a Tesco beer competition, and that set the scene for this massive expansion to the point where BrewDog now owns something like 100 bars and hotels around the world and employ around 2,000 people. Now, Martin Dickie has said today he's stepping away for personal reasons. He says he wants to spend less time travelling and more time with his young family, but he's hanging on to that multi-million-pound stake he still has in BrewDog, and he's also launched a company producing medicinal cannabis, so he's staying pretty busy.
In terms of BrewDog, in recent years it has experienced some problems.
Yeah, BrewDog has been in the wars. It's come under fire for its controversial marketing campaigns and for its workplace culture. 4 years ago, former workers published an open letter accusing BrewDog of having a culture of fear with what it called toxic attitudes towards junior staff. Several accused James Watt of inappropriate behaviour, allegations which he said are false. Now, recently, BrewDog has suffered big financial losses 3 years in a row. Last year, James Watt stepped down as chief executive, but even this year there have been challenges. The company in the last month announced plans to close 10 bars across the UK. BrewDog are still based in the northeast, but of course now they are part owned by a big private equity company. So there's new leadership in place, and despite all the success, there's still lots of challenges ahead.
OK, David, many thanks. Some of the day's other stories now. The former Hibs chairman and chief executive Rod Petrie has died at the age of 69. Petrie served at Easter Road for more than 2 decades and also held roles at the SFA. Hibs confirmed he died peacefully at his home in Long Nidri, surrounded by family following a long battle with cancer. And a driver who had been travelling at 134 miles per hour on the hard shoulder of a motorway has pleaded guilty to causing serious injury to 6 people by dangerous driving. 28-year-old Gillan Hood ploughed into an unmarked police vehicle as officers were dealing with another driver they'd stopped on the M8 eastbound in Glasgow in July last year. The mum of a young boy from Ayr who called an ambulance when she suffered an asthma attack says he probably saved her life. Katie became unwell in December last year, but Joshua, who was just 4 at the time, was able to get help. He's been hailed as an example of the type of information children should have in an emergency. Gillian Sharp went to meet them.
Playing at home in Ayr with his wee sister, Joshua has now turned 5. In December last year, mum Katie suffered an asthma attack at home, but luckily Joshua was able to call an ambulance.
Have mum and dad talked to you about it and taught you our address? And nursery spoke to you as well, didn't they? Yeah. You never know like what's going to happen, so like names of parents, address, but then when we've been playing like fire engines or police when they dress up, they always say, oh, we're going to phone 999, and at that point we would always make them say the address, do you know, that we were at, rather than just moving on.
The Scottish Ambulance Service has praised Joshua's bravery. They've shared the phone call, which we've edited down.
You said Mummy has asthma. Is she having trouble with her breathing? Yeah, she is. Okay. Well done, Joshua. You're doing a brilliant job, sweetheart. Big important question just now. Does Mummy have an inhaler for her asthma? Yeah.
The service presented Joshua with a certificate of commendation, with one person describing what he'd done as an outstanding job.
I don't think there's enough words to say how proud I am of him. I mean, when it comes down to it, you know, he probably saved my life being able to phone that ambulance, because I don't know what would have happened if I didn't get any help.
Why are you proud of yourself? Tell me why.
Because he helped Mum.
Because he helped Mum.
Mummy. Mum Katie says she's beyond proud of Joshua and pleased that so many of her friends are now teaching their children what to do in an emergency. Gillian Sharp, reporting Scotland, Ayr.
Right, time now to get tonight's sport with Lewis, and you've got plenty to get through.
A lot.
Amongst other things, Women's Rugby World Cup.
Exactly, it's going to be a big weekend, isn't it? I've also got some football for you and some golf as well.
Sounds good.
So all happening, Laura. Thanks very much. Hello there. Celtic defender Alistair Johnston has been ruled out for 3 months after going off on a stretcher during their Champions League playoff draw against Kairat Almaty. The Canadian suffered a hamstring injury during the first half of the clash at Celtic Park. Meanwhile, manager Brendan Rodgers has addressed his own future and said there is no chance of him leaving before the end of his contract, which runs until next summer. Now, Rangers head coach Russell Martin says the ownership group at Ibrox have been calm and supportive so far in his tenure, despite mixed results on both domestic and European fronts. The highs of wins against Panathinaikos and Victoria Pilsen have been tempered by dropped points in matches with Motherwell and Dundee, then a 3-1 defeat at home to Club Brugge. A tricky test away to St Mirren on Sunday is next, but Martin is looking beyond the short term.
Treating it like we're going to be here for a long time with the staff and the players, because if you just focus short term all the time to appease people and to sort of, you know, make people happy, it's not it. So the ownership group are really calm, they've been great. Patrick, Kevin, everyone been so supportive. They understand what's gone on before and what needs to happen and what's going to come here. So really I can't control anything else. So I won't put any of my energy or attention to that. And everyone I bump into in the city, they've been great. Maybe I'm walking around in the right areas, but they've been great.
Russell's obviously only into the job and building a brand new team, and you know, they've shown that they can hurt people. They've shown they've got some really talented players, and you know, make no mistake, we're certainly the underdogs, and we have to produce our best performance to get a result.
Aberdeen captain Graham Shinney says there's belief in the squad that they can still qualify for the Europa League after a 2-2 draw with 10-man FCSB in the first leg of their playoff. Defensive mistakes helped the Romanian side take a 2-0 lead at Pittodrie despite playing much of the game a man down. But the Dons rallied in the second half with substitutes Dante Polvara and Esther Sockler both on target to revive their chances ahead of next week's second leg.
That's more like what we should be, the intensity. We said it in the build-up to the game. We had to play intensely. I didn't think we'd done that enough until later on in the game, but it showed when we did raise it that what we can do as a team. So, yeah, going over there will be obviously difficult. In Europe is always difficult, but the belief is firmly there, and we're looking forward to it.
Meanwhile, Hibernian boss David Gray stressed that there is still a lot of football to be played after his side went down 2-1 to Legia Warsaw in the Conference League playoff. The visitors scored twice in the first half, but Hibs kept battling away, and Josh Mulligan's 87th minute strike gave them a lifeline ahead of the return game in Poland next week. Now, Scotland boss Steve Clarke admits he feels pressure as he tries to lead the national team to their first World Cup since 1998. In an extensive interview, which you can see in full on the BBC iPlayer, Clarke talks about the upcoming qualifying campaign to get to the tournament in the USA, Mexico and Canada, which gets underway against Denmark next month.
I feel the pressure. I think there is a pressure because we do want to get there. The whole country wants to get there, and obviously as a head coach, a little bit of that comes back on me, but I relish it. I'm looking forward to it. We've got a fantastic group of players. They're all determined to make up for what we feel was a missed chance to go to Qatar in 2022, and hopefully we can do it.
The Women's Rugby World Cup gets underway in England tonight. Scotland kick off their campaign tomorrow against Wales. So what are expectations, and how might this tournament boost the women's game at home? From Salford, here's our sports news correspondent Chris McLaughlin.
After years of preparation, the final training session for a group ready to make their mark on the world stage.
You know, Rugby World Cup is extra special, but we know how to cope with the pressure around that, and we've got some real experience in here as well. So, yeah, look, we're focused on this game, and they'll be simmering just in time for kick-off.
First up, it's a tricky game against the Welsh in Salford. Fiji are next, a match Scotland should win. Then they travel to Exeter to take on an impressive Canadian side. Tomorrow's game could be the key to progression though.
Yeah, I think this is probably our most competitive game, but yeah, it's exciting for it to be against Wales, you know. It's always very close and, you know, a couple of points in it, so we'll just, we'll just see who comes out on top.
Here in Manchester, the city has been getting ready to host what organisers are calling the biggest ever Women's World Cup. So can Scotland's involvement boost the Scottish game?
It's growing just now, but it was growing in the past and then slumped again. There's never been a really consistent drive. I think the difference this time is that given England's obviously 10, 11 times larger than we are in terms of population, and given that English rugby has a similar size advantage over Scottish rugby, I think the fact that the tournament's in England is going to get massive publicity will help Scottish women's rugby grow more consistently.
Scotland are over! Despite tries like this, on-field preparation has been patchy. But this group know with a huge audience, this is about more than just the here and now.
We represent Scotland women of past, of present and of future. And what we do on the pitch and what we do off the pitch, particularly on a world stage, we know the responsibility that we hold and how big an impact that can have on those women of the future, those women that are going to have the opportunity to follow in our footsteps.
Scotland have yet to progress past the pool phase at a World Cup. Could this be a first? A win against Wales tomorrow would certainly help.
And Chris joins me now. Chris, is it fair to say that all hasn't been well in the build-up with contracts and other issues?
Yeah, I think that's fair, Lewis. Contract negotiations have been going on for weeks before this competition. As it stands, we don't know how many of this current squad will have professional contracts beyond this tournament. Now, what the SRU are saying is they are keen to professionalise the women's game in Scotland, creating pro teams in Glasgow and Edinburgh over the next 3 years. We're still to see the details of that. What the camp is saying is they are fully focused on this competition, but clearly it's not ideal. That being said, it's a sellout tomorrow. Many Scotland fans are travelling down, not many around today, but plenty travelling down here this evening and tomorrow morning.
I'm sure they'll make plenty of noise. Our sports news correspondent Chris McLaughlin in Salford, thank you. And finally to golf. And Robert McIntyre is currently tied 4th at the Tour Championship, the concluding event of the PGA season, after slipping on the final day of the BMW Championship to lose out to world #1 Scottish Scheffler. Auburn's McIntyre will be desperate to exact revenge. He's currently 8 under par alongside Scheffler and 4 behind the leader, England's Tommy Fleetwood. $10 million the prize for the winner in that one. So just under £7.4 million wouldn't be bad. Here's hoping they can get the job done.
We'd survive on that, wouldn't we?
That'd be all right, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Lara.
Now, Scottish actress Karen Gillan has confirmed she is to star in a remake of the 80s cult movie classic Highlander alongside Henry Cavill. She will take on the role of Conor McLeod's wife. The Doctor Who star, who grew up in Inverness, has been speaking to David Farrell about her upcoming projects.
It's an iconic film set in Scotland that's become a cult favourite, and now Highlander is set for a reboot.
There can be only one.
Henry Cavill and Russell Crowe were already attached to the remake, and now Karen Gillan has also confirmed her involvement. In an Instagram post, she said she's so excited to be an actual Highlander in Highlander, and that her dialect coach can sit this one out. When I spoke to Karen, she could only hint about it, but it was clear she was already hyped.
My next job is going to be in Scotland. So I'm not allowed to say what it is yet, but it's so Scottish and I'm so excited and I can't wait to tell people.
What is there still to do for you?
Maybe a one-woman show would be cool as well. I think that's something I haven't done out of fear, is maybe like a live production of some sort.
So could we see you maybe coming to the Edinburgh Fringe with your one-woman show?
Every single year I go to the Fringe, I come out of the Fringe being like, I'm going to do a show next year. And it never comes to fruition. But one day I'll be in the Fringe.
It won't lie to you.
Before she gets to the Fringe or even Highlander, it's all eyes on her new film Life of Chuck.
You might see a lot more than you wanted.
The Life of Chuck follows a 39-year-old everyday guy, and it explores what it means to be human.
And I was approached for this project. I looked at all of the information and it was made by Mike Flanagan, written by Stephen King. And I'm thinking this is going to be some horror epic, and it is just not that at all. It's quite the opposite. It's a real sort of exploration of life and what it is to truly live in the way that you want to and how you spend your time. So in order to prepare for this role, I had to ask myself, what would that actually feel like? But it also made me examine like how I've spent my life so far, and have I not done anything out of fear? And that kind of made me go, right, I think I'm going to live my life a bit more freely.
David Farrell, reporting Scotland.
Well, Amy's here to tell us what's coming up on tonight's news at 7.
Hi, Laura. We'll have more from Karen Gillan, as we heard with David Farrell there. And we're all familiar with Harris Tweed, the brand, aren't we? Well, we're going to hear why one animal rights group wants the brand to make quite a dramatic change. And 4 years after a bike hire scheme was scrapped in Edinburgh, we're going to hear what the hopes are for the new scheme that's going to be launched. A new contractor has been launching that today. So what's going to be different this time? We will try and find out.
OK, thank you very much, Amy. Now, new artwork from Sir Billy Connolly has gone on display in Edinburgh and Glasgow. 4 limited edition works of his have been released. The 82-year-old announced his retirement from comedy in 2018, but in an interview filmed by the group of art galleries who will display the work, he says his paintings still give him joy.
It's beautiful. It makes me happy. And it's taken me years to say that. It's beautiful. I would never dream of saying it before. For the chance that somebody would say, it's crap. You're no good. But I'm quite good. I can make people smile and feel happy. That's great.
Well, time now for a look at the weather with Judith. Are you going to make us smile and feel happy? How is the weekend?
It's not looking too bad at all. It's getting warmer and there's some rain on the way next week, and some would say we need some rain, but I love this glorious picture. I'm a real sucker for the pastoral. Reminds me of home, the East Coast, you know. A very good evening to you. Well, the farmers making hay in the sunshine there as we head through the last couple of days. It has been dry and with high pressure still with us right through the weekend. It stays predominantly dry. This weak front just making inroads, bringing a bit of clouds, some patchy rain to the west tomorrow night and first thing on Sunday, but the high still with us, and we will start to see warmer air coming our way as well. But out here in the Atlantic, this is the remnants of Hurricane Erin. Now it's going to stay out there for a couple of days midweek onwards, throwing out some weather fronts. Nothing dramatic, but we will see some rain Tuesday onwards or some showers at times. So a changeable week of weather once we get a lovely Monday out the way, which will be warm as well. As far as tonight's concerned, a fair bit of cloud around. I think we've really been sort of fighting the cloud this week where we're going to see breaks. I think tonight, some breaks up across the northeast Caithness and the Northern Isles, and bits and pieces of patchy rain for parts of the west coast. And it could be quite chilly across the northeast, 5 or 6 Celsius in the Glens, but for most into double figures. So into tomorrow, well, it starts off largely dry, a fair bit of cloud. Where you're seeing the cloud, we should see some breaks. Where you're seeing the sunshine up across the northeast, we will see some cloud filling in as we head through the course of the day. It's not going to be too clever where we're going to see the sunshine tomorrow. But in saying that, it looks like the Northern Isles will feel pretty well. A dry day here. We lose the brisk winds from Shetland, some brighter sunny spells. And I think for Caithness too, the Murray Coast faring pretty well too with a southerly wind. We should see some breaks here, 20, 21 Celsius. A cool breeze along the east coast, but come inland, we're still looking at 18, 19 Celsius. 20 Celsius for western Scotland. Again, there'll be some breaks in that cloud. It won't be wall-to-wall cloud. And up the west coast, we'll see the odd break here and there, but maybe some thicker cloud producing a few spots of rain or drizzle at times. So as we head through the rest of the day, nothing really changes, but into the evening, we'll start to see that weak front bringing thicker cloud and some patchy rain and quite murky conditions as well, as it's a warm front into western Scotland, confining the clear skies to the northeast Caithness and the Northern Isles. So an east-west split initially on Sunday, that cloudy, damp weather for the west coast and some sunshine in the east. This all starts to become confined to northwestern areas as we head through the day and kind of just fizzles out actually. Morning we have sunshine for central and southern parts, and look at those temperatures, 21, 22. But come Monday, lots of sunshine, and indeed we could see 25 Celsius and then trending cooler and more changeable as we head through the rest of the working week. That's your forecast.
Not looking too bad at all.
Not at all. We need the rain, don't we?
We do need a wee bit of rain. So. Listen, I met a weather watcher last weekend.
Oh, did you?
And just to say to anyone that wants to send pictures in, he was just absolutely delighted when they appear on the screen.
What's the name?
I don't want to give away a secret identity.
They're all superstars, City.
And Judith and I will be here with your late news at around 10:30. Join us then. Bye-bye.